Okay, we are live. Hello, Anthony, and hi, everyone. It's my favorite thing to talk to Anthony. It seems
Uh,
like we we talk so often now, and I love it.
yeah.
So today's topic is what if money could be your best friend? Oh my God, I love this. And what I totally perceive that for most of the people, this is an unfathomable, unimaginable thing to have money as their best friend. So I am so excited to talk about this with you tonight. And we have an invitation as well, not just a conversation. So it's so exciting. Yeah, welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, yeah, you will have an amazing 3 months program starting on the 2nd of September, and the title is Healing Your Money Wound. So
Mhm.
I'm very curious. What was the moment when it pinked to you, or how did it get created? How the idea came to you that you want to do this program and with this topic, with this title?
Yeah, well, great question. And, I've been, money for me, being in the healing profession, especially alternative healing profession, I was always self-conscious around the idea of can you be a real, true, alternative, natural healer and make a lot of money at it? Because if the answer was yes, then that would make me just only care about making the money, not about the people, right? So it's sort of like, yeah. And so for so many years, I had this poverty, so since let's say 1999 is basically when I graduated from chiropractic school, so 27 years ago. Um, I took a lot of great pride in the fact that I care about people and people will know that I will never make it about the money. It's only, and I was poor for a very long time. It was crazy. I assumed that if my prices were cheap and people got great results, which they did, they would just tell all their friends. And that didn't happen, and it's like, and what I
Hmm.
learned over the years is when you devalue your worth, when you devalue your services, it's sort of like your financial reality sort of reflects that. And so it took me a really, really long time to be okay with charging what my value was for my services, for my time, and that it's okay to actually make more than enough money to pay for your needs and have some to create a sustainable future and so on and so forth. And so you're happy and your clients or your patients are happy. And so I had to go through a lot of healing, a lot of um exploration on where did these points of view come from, really. And a lot of it is just things that I heard from other people, like, oh, that person's a charlatan, that person is not, you know, he don't care about people. He's in it for the money. So then I'm like, I'll prove you wrong. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it because I care about people. And you know what? I ended up being poor because I gave all my services away for free to prove that I really just cared about the people, which is true. I did care about the people, but then I couldn't pay my own bills. I couldn't pay back my student loans. And I'm like, okay, something's wrong here. And I have a lot of points of view that are hurting me, and then when I got married and I started a family, I'm like, this is not working. This is not working for me anymore. So I did so many things. I read so many different books, and nothing ever really seemed to help until um, I came along, discovered the tools of access consciousness, and learned about the How to Become Money workbook, the advanced How to Become Money workbook, and where I started to look at money from a completely different point of view. I started where you're sort of looking at money as more of like something that was an energy, not like a thing, not like a material thing, right? Because if you look at it, it's like, well, what is money? Right. And so Or what does money look like to you? So what's the first thing that comes to your head? Now, most people, when they close their eyes and they ask themselves, well, what is money? Or what does money look like to you? You'll have an image of what maybe money looks like, and it may be the image of what your currency is, right? Um, or I may have an image of what the US dollar looks like, right? Or if you're from Japan, it's like what their currency looks like. But is that really money? Because if that was true, then wouldn't all money look like that? So, it becomes this fascinating thing where you start to realize that we have so many points of view around money and what money is. We make it so solid. And because we make it so solid, we actually stop the inflow of it. And we also get uncomfortable with the outflow of it as well. And so over the years, I realized that I had to change my points of view, basically. And I didn't know how to quite do that. And until I started studying the workbook, the How to Become Money workbook and all that. And then, you know, even recently, I studied this thing called Money EQ by a gentleman called Ken Honda. And Money EQ stands for Money Emotional Quotient. And to kind of get you to see where your relationship, your emotions are in and around money. And that was a very interesting thing, because in Access Consciousness, we learned that our thoughts, feelings, and emotions are basically the lower harmonics of this reality. It's like a lower way of functioning in the world. You really want to function from perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving. And so yeah, I decided to go through that course, and I was like, wow, I learned so many more new things about a lot of my points of view that I have in and around money. And one of the things that he said is like, well, what if money became your new best friend? And I really love that. And it just sort of changed my energy or my points of view around money in a more, I'm not going to say, well, energetic way, yes, but in a way where I looked at it as it's this never ending stream that comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. And money has no point of view. Money doesn't have a point of view of you, even though some of us thinks that it does. It thinks that some of us think money doesn't like us. Like somehow it's a person. And, but when I got through these materials, I was like, oh my God, I've been treating money like a person. I've been treating it like a lot of my ex-girlfriends, And so, yeah, it was a really interesting exploration to look at it and get to this space where um, money was no longer a thing, but sort of like this energetic contribution that contributes to your life and other people's lives in the world. And it comes in all different forms. It's not just about your currency building up in your bank account. It's so much more than that. And then really exploring, like, what is wealth? Does wealth mean having $10 million in the bank or $1 billion in the bank? Well, if your body's sick all the time, how is that money even, like, it doesn't mean anything if you're sick and miserable and depressed or whatever, or you're disconnected from your family and all these different things. And so I started looking at wealth differently as well too. It's like, so, okay, I'm wealthy because I am healthy, and I feel good, right? I see a lot of friends that are my age, their bodies are falling apart, like really falling apart. And I'm like, wow, it doesn't matter how much money they have. If their bodies are falling apart, what good is that money for them? Especially if they're not using it to take care of themselves. So I don't know. There's so much I could keep talking on and on and on. But like, yeah. And this whole thing about money wounds, like so many of our struggles with money just really comes from belief systems that we inherited either from our parents, or maybe the particular times, let's say, in our, throughout the history of whatever time period we were born in, whatever things went on in the economy in those respective countries and regions or around the world, a lot of people are still functioning from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, from those events, right? And then, but those feelings get passed down to the next generation, and that generation, which wasn't, they weren't alive during that time, but yet they're still functioning as if there's a depression, right? Or they're functioning as if, there's all this scarcity, in the world. And so, yeah, it's really quite fascinating when you start to look at that and where you've inherited these things that are nothing more than money wounds.
Hmm. It's so beautiful. And I love that you mentioned that maybe it's not even ours, so we just perceive it from others, or as you said, a lot of points of views we just inherited because we kept hearing them and we thought
Yeah.
that money is always a problem or a struggle or it's hard, heavy and stuff
Yeah.
like this. So
Or money's
I
the
I
root of all evil, they say.
yeah, I really love this best friend energy to it.
Yeah,
So yeah.
exactly. Because it's like, think about Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, talks about benevolent capitalism, which is different than regular capitalism, right? Um, but benevolent capitalism is that idea of like, you make the world a better place because of the money you're able to generate and create. It's not like you just keep that money all for yourself and screw everybody else, but it's a way to be benevolent with the money so you can change other people's realities too. And I thought that was a really beautiful way of looking at, you know, one of the reasons and the purpose of money is not just to have it and hoard it for yourself, but it's to be benevolent with it and whatever ways that you see fit, to make the earth, invest in different resources to make our earth less polluted, to have cleaner waters, to make sure that everybody has shelter, or proper medical care, whatever the case may be. And so it's like, if you had more money than God, right? What would you choose to do with it? Who would
Mhm.
you be? What would you create? And I get excited, and it's funny because a lot of times I think about like all the people I can contribute to, which is interesting, you know? Um, yeah. So
It's so cool. And not long ago, you did a How to Become Money workbook series, and it was amazing how it was so unique. So I'm really looking forward to this Healing Your Money Woods program as well, because I'm sure you will do it so uniquely and
yeah,
differently.
yeah.
And also, the spots are limited for this 3 months online program because you would like to make it interactive. Can you talk about it a little bit? And how can people imagine this? So,
Yeah, well,
a
there's just
little
going
bit
to be a
about the
lot of
details.
questions. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, it is going to be, we're keeping it small, and so that it could be interactive, because we're going to be answering questions. I'll be asking the participants a question so they can actually start looking at where they're actually functioning from with regards to money and wealth and all of that. And then we will start to explore and do deep dive of like, okay, well, where did those feelings come from? Do those feelings even belong to you? Like, what is your relationship with money? Is it toxic, or is it generative and expansive? Also recognizing, when you think about money, when you think about making money, when you think about paying your bills, how does it feel in your body? So it's like really looking at like your relationship with money from a visceral, like a body internally, like experience, right? And also this mental uh consciousness space as well. And because it's amazing, I see so many talented people out there who are so gifted, and yet they're not being paid what they're worth, and they're struggling. You see this with artists a lot. You see this with a lot of healers in the world. They give their services away for free because they just want to help people. They want to serve people, so to speak, and they get amazing, amazing results where all other modalities maybe failed. And yet they can't, when someone wants to pay them money, their whole body contracts. I used to be one of those people. I'm not so much anymore, thank God. But there are still areas where, like, oh wow, that was a little uncomfortable. So it is an ongoing journey, right? There's no destination. It's not like you arrive and it all vanishes, but at least bringing consciousness, bringing an awareness to where you're functioning from with regards to creating money, having it come to you, and also paying your bills or putting it
Mm.
away for the future, or to invest it, whatever. Like, what shows up for you? Like, what kind of emotions show up? What kind of visceral experiences in your physical body show up? And I'm sure a lot of people here could relate to that. Like when they go and pay the bill, some of them feel it tighten up in their stomach, or they feel their neck and shoulder muscles get tight, right? Or maybe you make a lot of money and you're like, yay! But then, like, you go home and you got all these bills you got to pay. It's like, where'd all that money go? Oh my God. And you're like, right? And you're like, and so there's no ease with money. You don't have ease when it comes in. So I've seen people get overwhelmed when they make a lot of money, and they do their best to get rid of it because they're so overwhelmed, they don't know what to do with it. So it's this space of creating ease and really doing a deep exploration with the participants that are on the call, so we can actually look at where are those wounds, where are those points of view that are holding you back from having that ease with the flow of in and out of money, and really clearing it using the Access Consciousness tools.
Mm. So nice. Yeah. And on these calls, they can get facilitated. So that's why it's also important that it will be a little group of people, or yeah, less people, so they can get vulnerable, you can get vulnerable and get facilitated by Anthony. So really changing your money situation and heal all those wounds. So I'm
Yeah,
really looking forward to it. And what's your also unique and amazing capacity is using the symphony energies. And this program also contains a little symphony group session every month. So that's also a big contribution, like energetically. And it's a whole different experience when you really look at money as an energy,
right.
and you can play with it and you can have ease with it and just create it for the fun of it, and also let it flow out just for the
Yeah.
fun of it. And yeah, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, the
So
whole thing is about creating more of that energy around your being, like how you be with it, and also receiving, right? Because if you can't receive it, how's it going to show up in the ways that you say you desire? And if you're not able to be the energy of it, it's going to be hard to have that show up into your life as well. Because if and when it does, you'll find ways to just get rid of it because it doesn't match, like, your being. It doesn't match what you're willing and able to receive. And so again, that's something that we're going to explore in a very deep way. Okay, well, why is it? Why do you have an issue receiving this? What points of view are you holding on to that if you didn't have them, you can receive so much money that, you're just celebrating every day and feeling like the luckiest person on planet Earth. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
so that's the target, have some fun, look at these things, and change your relationship with money to more of a creationship where there's
Mm,
more of this dynamic dance of ebb and flow and ease of receiving and being.
yeah. And of course, I truly, truly believe that everyone, all the people in the world should sign up now and be there for this 3 months program. But what would you say? So, who this program is for? basically? Or what if they listened to you in this
Yeah.
conversation today? Uh, what are the quote unquote signs that maybe this program is for them?
Yeah, you may have heard some of the examples throughout the call, but it's like when money comes to you, do you expand and celebrate, or do you actually contract and kind of freak out? Or when you go and pay your bills, do you have a sense of anger or resentment, or um, do you pay your bills first before you actually maybe put money aside for yourself? Do you honor yourself before you pay your bills? You know, what shows up in your body? What shows up emotionally when you are receiving money and also, you know, spending money? Um, whose points of view do you hear in your head over and over and over again? Like, is it your father's points of view? Is it your mother's points of view, or maybe your grandparents' points of view? Have you heard things like, you know, you have wine taste but beer pockets? Basically, in other words, you may be someone who desires, like, you know, the finer things in life, but you were made wrong for that. Okay. And that's like a little bit of gaslighting that gets passed down from one generation to the next. Do you feel guilty because maybe you have more money than your friends or your family? Maybe you've outcreated everyone that you know, and there's a element of guilt. Do you hide how much money you have? I know people who are very wealthy. You'd never know it from the outside. You would never know it by the house they live in, and it's a secret. They don't want anybody in town to know that they're wealthy. And it's unbelievable. Like, they hide it. So it's like, you know, so it's like those are money, you know, to me, those are all sort of indicators that there's some sort of money wounds going on. If you have to hide, if you have guilt around it, even shame, or if you're just one of those people struggling to create it. And then when you do finally create it, you freak out because you don't know what to do with it. So you almost reject it by spending all of it.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
Catch 22.
I mean, think about like this particular story, like a guy going from having $50 million of net worth, and then something happens and he loses $40 million, and he's left with $10 million. And the gentleman was suicidal. Like, I don't know about you, but if you had $10 million in the bank, or at least this is US dollars, I don't know what that would be in Hungarian currency, but let's just say you would
A
be
lot.
set for life.
Yeah.
But do you see the points of view? This person net worth $50 million went down to $10 million, and the person was thinking about killing themselves.
Mm.
What? You know how many realities that would change in a lot of people around the world if they had $10 million? So
Mm.
yeah, so it's at the end of the day, it's just points of view. And your points
Mm.
of view create your reality.
Yeah, so you said it so beautifully. And I really love one question at the end of the email got sent out today. So if you are signed up for Anthony's newsletter, you should check the email because it has the invitation for the program in it. And the final question is that now that the space has been created,
Mm.
what is available to you that you have not yet chosen? Wow, that's so beautiful. So, this is our question to all of you who were listening to us today, that after this space has been created with this conversation and with so many tools already before the program, then what would you choose now? So, we will put the link of this program in the comments and you can join us. We are very excited to have you there and explore this interesting, exciting, and wonderful topic together and have money as our best friends. I'm so excited to have money as my new best friend.
Awesome. Thank
So
you. Me
thank
too.
you. Thank you for
Okay.
today's conversation. It was amazing again. So
Thank you for having
see
me as
you
always.
in the money program. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.